Ooh, welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. We got a fun show lined up for you. Tons of actionable information as well coming your way. We're going to start with Andy Lang right off the bat. He's got 2 NFL prop bets for us. After that, Gianni is going to race through a couple of UFC bets, and then we're going to take apart the college football and NFL card. We're going to end the show with Dave Mason from Bet Online. Teddy Covers, you've got an NFL big game breakdown coming our way, right?
I do. We're going to talk about the Raiders and the Chiefs before this show is all through. And of course, in my What Bettors Learned, I'm going to talk about sometimes you make a bet that's so bad, you just have to laugh about it. That was my bet last night, Prez. We'll talk about it before this show is through.
I'll have a daily presidential address on an NFL game. Haven't picked the game yet. Thinking maybe Kansas City, Teddy.
That's what I'm talking about in my big game breakdown, Lawrence. If you
I know, dude. I did that.
What you asked me.
I did that yesterday, bro, and I did it again today. Okay, fine. Carolina, Denver. How about that game, Teddy? You want to hear me break that one down?
Whatever game you'd like to break down, Lawrence, I'm all ears. As long as it's not the game that someone else is doing on the same show.
Oh, we're hard out, Lawrence. Got a golf game going. Andy Lang joining us. What up, Andy Lang?
Hello, gentlemen. Hope everyone's doing good. Teddy, were you making a bet so bad you just have to laugh? I took a guy to not have a point in a hockey game last night. 2 goals and an assist. So there you go. You scored 3 goals. They scored 3 goals. He had a point on every single goal. You just got to throw your hands up and laugh and on to the next one.
Well, I might as well add my story then. I took the Toronto Maple Leafs in regulation, and they are still on their way to the arena. Yeah. Andy Lang. We got 2 prop bets, both in the NFL. The first one on Javonte Williams. Fill us in, my brother.
Here's your Panthers breakdown. Javonte Williams over his rushing yards. It's only 64.5, and trying to figure out where they got this number from. I guess maybe it's his average, but he just came off of a game where he rushed for 88 yards against the New Orleans Saints, and the New Orleans Saints have just been awful. They've given up an average of 213.7 yards per game the last 3. But Carolina's not much better. 180 yards the last 3 games allowed rushing. And here's the thing. Bryce Young is starting. In the 2 games that Bryce Young started this season, the Panthers gave up 81 rushes for 399 yards total. When he plays, it's just it's a brutal situation. They can't get off the field. I expect a big game for Javonte in this one.
So I'm seeing the most carries he's had this year is 16 in any game. 3 times he's gotten above 23 yards. When you look at the season-long stats and the game logs, I understand conceptually, and I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but you worry at all that he's just not getting enough carries. The 16 is the season high to me is something of concern when you're talking about an over-under in this range, despite his recent success.
Yeah, it is. Of course, some of these teams are very good against the run. That he had the 6 carries against the Chargers. He had 16 against the Jets for 77 yards. That's a team that struggles to give up a lot of yards on the ground. So, yeah, some of these attempts aren't great, but last week in a blowout, he was the one, getting the ball. And they were so far ahead that they didn't even really need to use him that much in the fourth quarter. The last 4 weeks, he's had longs of 20, 13, 17, and 16. So he's been breaking some double-digit ones. I expect him to get at least one of those against this terrible Panthers defense.
Andy Lang joining us. Jim Lloyd in the chat room bought the 7-day flex package, loves this product. Yeah, Jim, it's been really well received, the Flex program. You guys can find out about it right on the front page of Wager Talk. Basically, you're buying a long-term pricing structure to play short-term packages. So instead of paying full price for Andy Lang's package today, you basically are buying a bunch of credits and then you can get them for, I don't know, it's like, what is it, Andy? Like half price, pretty close to, even less sometimes. So yeah, thanks, Jim. It's been really well received. Love having you guys in the chat room. If you like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day and hit that thumbs up button, please. Andy, Teddy, good fake job. Andy, are you watching Tulsa King? What's up with Dana Delaney's face?
I don't know, but I do know what's up with Josh Downs and his receptions prop. Yeah.
He's got what's up with his toe, Andy?
I don't know, but Josh Downs, we're going under 38.5 receiving yards. It's amazing whenever you have a hard out, you're the one that rambles on the most. All right, so Josh Downs.
Andy, I don't really have a hard out, bro.
It's fine. All right, Josh Downs. Here's the thing. Anthony Richardson, I don't know if he's going to make it as a passer in this league. He had 10 completions last week. He had 129 yards. And when you look at Josh Downs, here's his receiving totals when Joe Flacco was throwing him the ball. 8 catches, 82 yards, 9 catches, 69 yards, 7 catches, 66 yards. Last week, 1 catch for 3 yards. 1 catch for 3 yards with Anthony Richardson throwing him the ball. And then you go back to the game against the Bears where Anthony Richardson played the full game, and you've got Josh Downs, 3 catches for 22 yards. Like, Anthony Richardson is just not that accurate. Josh Downs has a much better rapport with Joe Flacco. So fading Josh Downs as long as Richardson's a QB.
Do you worry at all in a situation like this where, one reception could kill you? If he gets a 30-yard catch, you're in trouble. When we talk about the 38.5s with a guy who's going to get playing time, he's going to be on the field. How much does that affect your thought process where the 1 catch can kill me on this under type of scenario?
It's a big worry. It's the same as taking a hockey player to not have 1 point. Richardson throws 1 long pass, and before the camera even pans at the receiver, you're like, oh no. We had a client play the other night, Teddy, Bam Adebayo, to not make a 3-pointer against Orlando. He took 2 3-pointers. He didn't make either of them. But man, my heart just sunk when I see him line up a shot.
But he didn't make anything. He made 1 shot in that game.
Yes, he was terrible, and both of his 3-pointers were like kind of at the end of the shot clock. But yeah, it's an adrenaline rush. It's a little bit roll of the dice, but these numbers with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball, honestly, Teddy, here in Indianapolis, it's kind of a general consensus. A lot of us would just like to see Joe Flacco throwing the ball for the Colts. It's almost like they're more exciting, which is hard to believe. They're more exciting with Joe Flacco's throwing the ball. So you're just fading Colts wide receivers with Richardson at QB.
Andy Lang, we love you, brother. What do you got to promote?
5% college football play up. This is my first ever 5% college football play.
Wow.
We're 6-2 this season. Yeah, 6-2 this season on college football. 19-6 lifetime college football. We just do 1 play a week. That's it. 1 solid play a week. And it's worked out great. So really, really excited for the 5% play. If you haven't gotten that, grab that over at WagerTalk. It's UFC weekend. Don't forget, UFC starts at like 10 a.m. tomorrow. So if you're putting your bets in, make sure you get them in today. And then we'll also have NFL plays up for Sunday.
Okay, get out of here, brother. Thanks for joining us. Teddy covers. So I was playing poker last night with Carmine. He was sitting on my left, and he needed 6 yards from Sam Darnold to cash his ticket. He released that prop bet to his clients. And then Minnesota gets the ball, minute 48 on the clock. 1 throw he needs. 1 single throw. And obviously you saw what happened. So not only did under bettors get completely screwed by the referees last night, but so did over yardage bettors on Sam Darnold, because Carm was not a happy camper. Quite the ending, though, Teddy. I mean, what is going on with the officiating this year, or is it the same and I'm just noticing it more?
So this is my 27th football season in Las Vegas. In exactly 0 of those football seasons have I heard comments, the refs are great this year. Everything's going super with the referees. We love the calls. this is the same story we've heard forever, and it'll be the same story we hear forever. Refs miss calls. Refs make too many calls. It is what it is. As a bettor, you have one choice. Deal with it or don't bet.
Okay, deep thoughts from Teddy Covers. What do you got going in your What Did Bettors Learn?
And one other thing worth noting, when it comes to player props, I do bad beats, bad bets for the books every Monday and talk about all the bad beats. When it comes to player props, you could do a 5-minute segment every day on bad beats, probably a 10-minute segment every day. Because, there's a bunch of them that are going to come down to one play or, when the numbers are tight, it is what it is. All that being said, sorry that Carm lost last night. It can and does happen. Speaking of can and does happen, I had Syracuse plus 6 at Pitt last night. Got bet down 5.5, 5s. And I've been in Vegas since 98. It's not the first wrong side I've had. It won't be the last. And of course, the game opened, Pitt 3 and out. So far, so good. And then Kyle McCord throws a pick 6, 7-0 Pitt. Syracuse gets the ball back, and McCord throws another pick 6. Or another pick, I should say. A great defensive play, but still, Pitt kicks a field goal, doesn't get any yards, 10-0. Syracuse gets the ball back, and you know it. Another pick 6, 17-0 Pitt. Pitt has 16 yards of offense at the time. And they're up 17-0. And even then, first quarter, man, I'm not dead yet. I'd rather it happen early than late. 17-0, I wasn't happy, but it wasn't a can't dig out of it hole, not with McCord at QB. And Syracuse mounts a drive, and they get stopped on down, and Pitt marches down the field in the end zone, 24-0. And Syracuse fumbles and forces a punt. It goes back and forth a couple times. The Orange get the ball back with 1:12 left in the half from their own 38. And McCord proceeds on the first play, I believe it was, through his 4th interception of the half and his 3rd pick 6 of the half. And I laughed. I had to laugh. LOL, literally. 31-0 Pitt. You turn the game off. It's done. Wrong sides will happen. Turnover games will happen. I'd rather laugh than cry. And I got the handicap dead wrong. Pittsburgh's defense swarmed Syracuse start to finish. But 3 pick 6s and 5 turnovers in the first half, that's fairly unique. And then, of course, you're on X, and people are ripping Kelly Stewart for having a play on Syracuse. It happens, okay, for all of us. Sometimes you lose by a half point. Sometimes you lose by 6 touchdowns. They all account the same way. An L equals an L. So last night, again, no stress. You wipe the slate clean. Let's get after it today. The wrong side losers, you don't like them. You don't accept them. But you put them past you as quickly as you can. They're inevitably going to happen sometimes. Let's see if we can get past it today. We can put together a strong weekend card. Lawrence?
Teddy, look, at least they waited for Syracuse to stink before they bitched Kelly Stewart out. A few days ago, I gave out Buffalo, Tuesday, I gave out Buffalo plus 130 against the Rangers, against Dallas Stars, who had not lost a game. I got ripped to shreds before the game even started. Mm-hmm. And not one single person came back and said I was right. I took Detroit against Minnesota Vikings last week in the NFL presidential address. Actually, that was my client play too. I got ripped to shreds before the game even started. So, I don't mind. I mean, whatever. These people think they know better than me. They can rip me a new one. Could care less. But yeah, at least they waited, Teddy. And yes, it does happen, dude. Obviously, none of us are infallible. And man, the Leafs played St. Louis last night at home off of a shitty loss against Columbus. They win that game 7 out of 10 times in that spot. They lost last night. They didn't show up. It happens. But you know who did show up? Gianni the freaking Greek. My man. How are you, Gianni?
Never better. And I love what Teddy was talking about. Exactly that point, that you got to deal with it. When it comes to the refs, when it comes to judges in MMA, that's part of the game. And that should remind you every time you place a bet not to overbet. That no matter how strong of an opinion you have, how much conviction you have, somebody can make a mistake. Point. That's the randomness of the short term that you have to be able to survive. The only way to survive that is to not overbet your advantage. That's what most people never grasp. They overbet their advantage, so they never get the chance for that edge to materialize. And more times than not, it's not even them screwing them over. It's the judge. It's a bad call. That's what ends up happening. You're on the right side of the wrong outcome. And if you overbet, you're never going to be able to take advantage of your edge, even if you have one. That's what the problem is, because it's, again, you could handicap it perfectly. It could play out perfectly, and then a judge could screw up the call in an MMA fight very easily for you. That's the problem. And you always got to keep that in the back of your head when you walk up to the line and fire. No matter how confident you are, you got to remember, someone else could screw this up for me. Someone else can screw this up for me. And you'll never overbet.
Yeah, it's such a great point, Gianni. I mean, last night, again, I'm at poker with Carmine and a guy on my right. Yeah, Teddy, I'm itchy. You can scratch till you're blue in the face.
Shave that crap. You're going to go to my hair and be like,
unlike you and Gianni, I'm a real man, dude.
Look,
I don't
dude.
shave.
It's the worst look.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Gianni, it's a great point. I had a guy on my right last night saying, this game, I can't remember the game. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed. There can't be an easier game. I'm like, those are the anyway, love having you on this show, bro. Let's get straight into some UFC. Why don't you give us both these UFC bets at the same time, and then we'll get into college football and NFL. I hand the mic to you, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been wanting to just give the strongest stuff, and the UFC is where I've been doing the most damage. In MMA right now, number one in profit in 2024, up over 122 units, about 13% ROI, and we placed plenty of bets, 12-2 on 5%, big moves in MMA. I got one for Saturday. So let's start off. I'm going to save some people money because I know Robert Whittaker's getting bet, not by just recreational bettors, by sharp bettors as well. They're taking the plus money on Whittaker, and I understand why. He's faced one of the toughest strength of schedule. He's as elite as it comes at middleweight. He's only lost to the very best. But here's the problem. He's facing probably his kryptonite, someone that'll be able to decide where the fight takes place. Someone like Chimaev, who is the best freestyle wrestler that the UFC has ever seen. He will decide where this fight takes place, whether he wants to keep it against the cage, whether he wants to take Whittaker down, or whether he wants to keep it standing. That's going to put him at such an advantage that Whittaker's constantly going to be on the defensive side of Chimaev. All the talk is this is a 5-round fight. Chimaev only has 5 minutes in him, 10 minutes in him. He doesn't need more than about 7.5 minutes to get to Whittaker. Take him down, control him. It's hard to do with Whittaker. Hasn't been controlled for more than 7% of the minutes he's grappled, but he hasn't grappled with an animal like Chimaev. I know everybody's going to say, oh, he did Romero. He's fought the top wrestlers. This is another class of individual. And the only reason we're getting Chimaev at less than minus 300 is because he looked human in his last 2 fights. Meaning when he arrived at the UFC, he finished fighter after fighter after fighter after fighter in the very first round. Everyone said, what do you got to throw this guy for him to finally lose? He fought Gilbert Burns, who's one of the best fighters of all time, has one of the best strength of schedules, the most experience. So he took Chimaev to the distance. Chimaev still won that fight. Usman took him to the distance, still won that fight. Those are the tests that you need in the UFC when you move up in strength of schedule. Had Chimaev gone through those guys in the very first round, I wouldn't be betting him here against Whittaker because I know Whittaker will be his toughest test. But again, this is a test that he could easily pass as long as it's the improved Chimaev, which is what we will see. He hasn't fought in a while, but again, this is an elite mixed martial artist who stays in shape, who's again, I could talk about Chimaev all day, but the bottom line is anything less than minus 300, you're getting the best of it. And then finally, here's a dog that you got to bet. At anything plus money, you just got to take it. Again, going for 18th straight winning episode on the Gambler's Perspective, and that's what I gave. I gave Chimaev as my top favorite, and here's my top dog on Petrosian against Shara Bullet. I'm the biggest Shara Bullet fan, believe me. I love it. The Pirate, the one eye, I'm all about it. But in this fight, he's a coin flip. Because when you see Armen Petrosian, he's one of the best strikers in MMA. He's a kickboxer by trade, and his weakness has been wrestlers. Guys that want to take him down. If you see any of his fights, that's all they're trying to do. Take him down, take him down, take him down, not stand with him. That's not going to happen with Shara. Shara's also a striker, also comes from kickbacks and background. Neither of these guys are going to want to take it to the mat. They're going to stand there and trade and kickbox. That's what they're going to do. And in that type of fight, Petrosian's a coin flip against anyone in his weight class. If you don't throw him against a wrestler, he's a coin flip against anyone. Take Petrosian at plus 140 or better. At plus 105 or better, you're getting the best of it. But we're getting plus 140 because he's going against Shara Bullet, who's already 2-0 in 2024. He's got all this hype behind him. The look, it all goes. So I get it. And it's probably the side that the UFC would like to see win. Shara Bullet, 4-0 over there near his Russia. But I think Petrosian's going to spoil that party. I really do. I think he wins by decision, outpoints Shara, and he gives him his first loss. So Chimaev in the co-main event, that's a 2x bet and a 1x on Petrosian as a dog to give Shara his first loss.
More than 180,000 of you have subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, now's a great time. Thank you for your support. We appreciate the likes very much. We appreciate the comments very much. And of course, we appreciate the time we get to spend with Gianni the Greek each and every week. Johnny, I want to ask you this when it comes to UFC. We never talk about location, whether it's in Vegas, whether it's in Dallas or Madison Square Garden, whether it's this fight is going to be early start, as you mentioned, on Saturday, bright and early, 7 a.m. here in Las Vegas. The first fights go off, and it's Abu Dhabi. Is there anything to location-wise that we would be interested in? Does it matter where UFC fights are? Or is it one location the same as the next?
100%. Great question, Teddy, because for a while there was the Brazil bias, where when they fought in Brazil and there were Brazilian fighters on the card, there was going to be a bias. When it went to a decision, more times than not, they were going to get the nod. Like, you really had to beat them to not get it. But that's the markets become more efficient, and that edge has kind of disappeared as far as the Brazil edge goes. But you still have to factor in travel, especially for the younger guys that just haven't done it. The top athletes, the main eventers, they're used to this. They're there well before. They're getting acclimated to the climate. They're getting acclimated to the altitude. They have the money to do all that. The guys at the bottom of the card, the undercard, that haven't left the United States ever, that haven't left Australia ever, that are now going to Abu Dhabi for the first time, now have to deal with the time change, have to deal with the travel, so many things. Absolutely, you need to factor that into the handicap. And I think more times than not, it's missed. That's one of those nuggets that won't be factored into the price. Obviously, when it's a Brazilian guy fighting in Brazil, everybody knows that. But when it's something like Abu Dhabi and you got a guy coming from Australia, you dig a little deeper and find out he's never left the country. All his fights have been fought there. You could find some edges. And in this card, you could definitely do that. So, yeah, absolutely. Great question. And it does matter where the fight takes place, even in 2024, where these guys are so well trained.
Gianni the Greek joining us. Gianni, I'm hosting Wager Talk Last Call on Sunday.
Ooh.
You going to be on it?
Absolutely. NFL late. Here's what you got to remind me. Please remind me, Prez, to do the Wong teasers. Please, please, please. Again, last week in the steam room, undefeated again. We've been able to narrow them down now 3 straight weeks where we haven't lost a single Wong teaser by waiting till the opportune time. I keep sharing that information, and it's now like 23-6.
Nice.
There's a way to do it and be profitable, so remind me for that. I will be on Last Call with the latest information for the bettors for sure.
Terrific. We're with Gianni for only a couple more minutes, brother. Let's run down your college football card, and then if Teddy has any questions, he will. After that, we'll do NFL. Yeah,
I'm just going to ramble on the ones that I've already confirmed as legit, and even if you see two-way action legit, meaning these are plus CV betting syndicates, possibly on opposite sides. Start off UCF, Central Florida. They got bet on the money line. They got bet point on the point spread. That's a 2x, 3x bet. Multiple groups got down on them. Mississippi State +7, and then even at +6.5 on Mississippi State to not lay the big to take the 7. Georgia State +7.5. Maryland +4.5. Hawaii on the money line. Wisconsin +7. Penn State -6.5. Oregon -21. Wisconsin +7. Over 57.5 Wyoming. Under 21.5 Missouri team total. And finally, LSU on the money line and LSU plus the small spot. Those, again, legit as they come. Don't know whether they're going to win, but I can tell you they are actual, legit moves from these groups that I hit bet for.
Well, let me ask you, because you gave out two opposite sides there.
Yeah.
In terms of Wisconsin, you gave both sides of Wisconsin, Penn State. You gave out Wisconsin +7 and Penn State -6.5. Is that standard operating procedure, that Wisconsin's a good bet at 7 and Penn State's a good bet at 6.5?
Yes, that's why I made sure I added that one, because every time there's a 6.5, someone wants to lay it. Every time there's a 7, someone wants to grab it. That usually happens, Teddy, only around 7 and only around 3. Mostly around 3s. Mostly around 3s, you're going to see that, where they're willing to lay the 2.5 and another group's willing to take the 3 when it's there. Like as if the market's that efficient that a half point makes the difference. But I guess around a key number, it possibly does, because I don't think their power ratings are that far off. I think it has more to do with key numbers than anything else.
Teddy, Gianni, race down your NFL
Lawrence
card.
wasn't paying attention. All right, let's talk NFL then.
NFL top to bottom real quickly.
How was I not paying
over-
attention? I didn't know which one of
said-
us was going to speak, Schmo. Why do
That's
you
okay.
always
Got there,
start,
but,
dude? Why do you
Johnny,
always start? Dan,
That's
mute
all right.
this
We got
schmuck.
good NFL.
Because
We got
he's
good
not the one
NFL.
that's not paying attention, not me. Sorry, Gianni. I'm really
That's
sick
okay.
of Teddy starting with me. Okay, go ahead, Gianni. NFL.
We'll start off at the top. Here we got bet numbers. It's not all over the place. 265, over 42.5, 43.5, Baltimore, Cleveland. 268, Jacksonville, plus the 4.5. I like that Jacksonville side. 269, Indianapolis, plus the 6.5, under 48.5, under 47.5. They stopped it under 47. It's gone lower since. I think that's public and piggybackers jumping on. Same thing, Arizona, Miami, 271, under 48.5, under 47.5. They stopped at 47 there as well. 273, Atlanta, plus 2.5. That was the opener. Very little money got down at Atlanta at plus 2.5. Most of it came on Atlanta money line and Atlanta -1 and 1.5. Also under 49, and they stopped at 48, going under there. Chicago, plus 2.5, just like Atlanta. Very small bet if anybody got down at the 2.5. I couldn't get it, but I got the buy order. But I was able to get Chicago on the money line and Chicago -1 for them. So they did like the Chicago side a lot. And under 47, under 46.5, under 46, they stopped at under 45 there. Finally, Denver. The look ahead was 4.5, wasn't enough. They opened at 7, it got hit. They went to 8, it got hit. Went to 9, it got hit. Went to 9.5, got hit. So they didn't move Denver quick enough. They were moving in half-point increments because of that look ahead at 4.5. Opens them up to a huge middle, a position they don't want to find themselves. And finally, 289, Dallas Cowboys, plus the 6.5, plus the 5.5, and finally at +5. So we got a mix of favorites and dogs and a couple under bets. No totals leaning over, not surprising. They usually wait till the end of the week because the bettor's bias is favorites and over. So the line will reflect some of that money because the public does bet a lot of money in the NFL. So a lot of times you do see them sit back on over bets until game day because of that better bias, which usually gets them, at least a half point better here or there.
Gianni the Greek, way to go, brother. We'll see you on Sunday. What do you got to promote?
Tomorrow, the UFC. Again, if you want to jump on board, jump on the UFC action. It's been on fire. Got college football as well for Saturday. And then Sunday, NFL action. 5-1 now and 5% big moves in NFL. Haven't isolated one yet, but we do have a couple 4% already. So head on over. Good weekend. Good weekend to be involved.
Love having you on, Gianni, everybody. Guys, come on, man. 250 of you watching, 69 likes, please. Takes 1 second to hit that like button. Teddy covers, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Let's talk NFL Sunday. The Chiefs and the Raiders. Looking at the WagerTalk free live odds screen right now. There's really some variance on this line. I'm seeing as low as 8.5 on KC, as high as 10. Prevailing number, let's call it 9.5 right now. Total 41.5. And if you think I'm going to make a case for the Las Vegas Raiders, you've come to the wrong big game breakdown. No, I'm not going to make a case for the Raiders here. This has been a pretty one-sided series. Last meeting in Kansas City, the Raiders won 20-14 on Christmas. Before that, 31-17 Kansas City, 31-13, 30-29, one close game, 40-9 Kansas City, 41-14 since 2021. So 4 KC wins by 2 touchdowns or more in the last 6 meetings, and KC is in revenge for this ball game. I'm hearing all this, Patrick Mahomes is washed up. Patrick Mahomes stinks now. Patrick Mahomes, more interceptions than touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. He's just fine. Patrick Mahomes against the Raiders let's see, the last 5 meetings, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's worth noting. The Raiders for the season, 3 takeaways. 3 takeaways so far. That's the fewest in Raiders history through 7 games. So when you say, is this a game where Mahomes is going to be having interception problems like he's had? My vote is no. And of course, we look at the Raiders. Can the Raiders trade points? Can the Raiders hang around? It doesn't matter if it's Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. The Raiders offense is broken. All right. Minshew led Vegas on 5 scoring drives last week, and they were all field goal drives. 154 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks. That's who he is. All right. The Raiders commit penalties. They don't stop the run. They don't run the football well. They are what we thought they were. Kansas City right now, despite their 5-1 ATS record this season, despite their 6-0 straight up record, there's a whole portion of the betting marketplace that says, oh, the Chiefs are fraudulent, living on borrowed time. Mahomes isn't any good, yada, yada, yada. KC's elite. The Raiders stink. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Appreciate all the likes and follows very much. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Thank you, my brother. Daniel's son, do we have Dave Mason with us? Well, that is wonderful news. Dave Mason from Bet Online, everybody. How are you today, man? How was your week?
Week's been good, man. This action's picking up on this election. It's absolutely nuts. Football last weekend, nothing great, but we didn't get our teeth kicked in like we did the previous week. But we had a good winner last night, so week 8 is off to a good start for the house.
There we go. We're going to get into a whole lot of that. Dave, let's start with the World Series because we have really not spoken much about it on this show all week. What type of bets are you taking on the World Series that we should know about? And then I'll hand the mic over to Teddy.
Well, the series price that we got here, -137 on the Dodgers. We actually opened -140. Yankees are paying currently +117. What do we need here? We need the Yankees small on that. The action's pretty even. Game 1, Yankees are the underdog +115. Dodgers laying -125. And yes, those are dime lines. Dime lines seem to be an endangered species these days, but we still have them here at betonline.ag, something I'm very proud of. As far as the futures market, it's a win-win for us. So we dodged that Mets liability, no pun intended. So that was a good one. Once the Padres and the Mets got kicked out of the playoffs, that was a big breather for my buddy Adam Burns, who manages the props department over here. But no, action's good. Looking forward to tonight. Shoot, I don't know who I'm rooting for personally. I don't like either team.
So I want to ask you this. So here in Vegas, the money goes to the casinos. You know, not like the sportsbook guy is going to get a bonus or anything like that. Sometimes in offshore, in the global books, it's a different philosophy. When the liability for the Padres and Mets get eliminated, does that guy get a bonus? Is it a difference in his pocket? Or is it one of those deals where, all right, I'm not going to get yelled at because we lost a lot of money?
Yeah, pretty. We're expected to win everything. You know, the suit's upstairs. It's like if he wins $10 million, it's like business as usual. If he loses a little bit, it's like, what the hell's going on here, man? So it's like, you know, I don't know. But at the end of the year, you know, you might get thrown a bone or something. I don't know. But it's more you're avoiding the email. You know, you never get that email, hey, dude, awesome job on that market. But you get the email, what the hell that liability on the Mets and the Padres? Now, we got a good team here. You know, that's part of the business. And then we've been in business forever, our management and our directors and our owners and everything. So they know the deal. You're going to get your teeth kicked in here and there. It goes up and down, ebbs and flows.
When it comes to game 1 of the World Series, looks like we're seeing a lot of over money. I'm looking at the WagerTalk free live screen. You guys had 7.5 at the open. Now I'm seeing 9 somewhere in the many books. Have you taken a fair bit of over money on game 1 tonight?
We definitely need the under. Bet count, yeah. I mean, bet count is, I'm doing calculations here real quick. Probably like 75% of the bettors, more or less, are on that over. Let me see if there's any sharp action here. Bear with me. Doesn't look like any sharp action. Not a lot of sharp action on this World Series Game 1. So I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're nothing here at Bet Online, at least.
Teddy, let's talk
And
CFB, brother.
We're going to talk football in just a minute. But I got to ask you, when it comes to early season NHL, early season NBA, is the public involved at all? Do you guys taking much action on these? If so, who are the popular teams when it comes to early season? NBA and NHL.
Yeah, the public, all the public teams, all the teams that are getting the highlights on ESPN, all the teams that are expected to be good. It's Lakers. They always get a lot of love just because they're the Lakers. Every good team laying points pretty much gets all the love. As far as action's concerned, it's kind of a slow start. It picks up really after football. It's the loyal NBA guys are here. They're betting. They can't wait. But the casual guys really don't come in. Maybe they'll bet a nationally televised game Thursday night TNT, Friday night ESPN. But the action really picks up after football. That's when all the casual guys pile in. And then once the playoffs start, the action goes absolutely through the roof.
Speaking of action going through the roof, let's talk college football for this weekend. We got 3 games tonight. We got a whole slate for the weekend. Talk about it, Dave. Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? What stands out to you on the college football card for the next 2 days?
Yeah, as far as, let's see here, college football. Sharps, I'll do that first. Louisville, 6.5 tonight. UCF, -1.5 or better. Akron, +3. Central Michigan, +13. ECU, -7. The Irish, -13. Michigan, -4. LSU, +2.5. Baylor, -4.5. Colorado, -5.5 or better. Iowa, -14. That's just a sample. There's so much sharp action that comes in on this college football. It's insane. As far as tickets, lopsided tickets, public action, the 69% of tickets are on USC, -14. Miami's getting 72% of the tickets. Navy, 71%. Indiana, seems like every week I'm reporting on them as a public bet. And once again, 76% of the early bettors are on the Hoosiers, laying 6. Vandy, 70% on Vandy, +8.5, 18.5 rather. Boise, big matchup there. 75% of the bettors are on Boise. And Illinois, 72% are on Illinois, getting the points there. So those are some of the bigger ones, but there's all sorts. Those are getting big volume too, but a lot of bets.
There we go. Dave Mason joining us from Bet Online, and we love having you with us. And, Dave, I want to just address something real quick, and then we're going to get into some NFL. FB Coach, one of the best listeners. This guy is in the chat room every single day. Lots of love, my friend. He writes, does Dave Mason, I thought he meant Sherapan, and Art, do they make money when we lose? In other words, we bring these sportsbook managers and risk guys on, marketing guys on from the sports books, and they give out picks and they give out advice. And a guy like FB is thinking, hey, are they giving out advice to try to get us to lose? So no. Both Dave and Art get paid a salary. They do not own anything. Well, Dave owns a lot of things, but none of them are sportsbook related. They get paid a salary, and they don't care. And frankly, I think, Dave, and you can speak to this, I think, Dave, your life is better when you come on here and you give out winning advice, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm working for the book, so I try to stay away from my personal beliefs on games because I know that how it works. If you win, no one's gonna. It's almost like we were talking about earlier with our management. And when you lose, I can win 100 games in a row, and then it's like, oh, you're just trying to make us lose. And like when I tell about those sharp picks, I include the number. And those numbers are gone. So that's what the sharps are betting. So, where I'm saying, what did I say here? So, for instance, like Louisville -6.5. That's what the sharps bet. but that number's gone. That's not -7.5 now. So there's no sharp value on -7.5. So I'm not trying to, skew people to go betting on it. And as far as the bet percentages are concerned, they're just bet percentages. I think they're interesting. Personally, I don't think there's a lot of value in them, but I do find them very interesting. I know a lot of bettors find them interesting. Some bettors think you fade them, you bet them, whatever. That's up to them. But I just find them interesting. That's what the bettors are on. That's what the public on. So that's that. Take the information how you want it. But, just come and bet online. You're going to beat us sometimes. You're going to lose, whatever. You're going to get paid fast when you want to hit the withdrawal button.
Dave Mason at Dave Mason BOL on X, and of course he's from BetOnline.ag. And Dave, I got to say, when I first moved to Vegas in 1998, there were all kinds of radio shows with sportsbook directors on. The sportsbook directors, the sportsbook sponsored some of the shows, and I'm sitting there as your typical conspiracy theorist, going, they're not giving me anything real. Come on. There's no way that a sportsbook guy is going to come on and give you what he likes for real or what they need for real. And then maybe within the next 5 years, you got to know what was really going on and get to know some of the sportsbook directors. And you realize pretty quickly, you could give out 50 locks a week and nobody's going to bet it anyway.
Plus they're going to parlay them.
Yeah, exactly. They'll parlay them together. The fact is, and this is, again, from 27 years of experience, the guys who we have on from the sports books, they're giving all the info they have. They're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. They don't get paid more when bettors lose or when bettors win. It doesn't work that way. And bettors lose enough. They're not that worried about it long term.
Yeah.
Dave, let's shift our focus to the NFL for this weekend. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like when it comes?
I just want to follow up real quick on that. If we want to influence a line, influence the way you bet, we move the number. That's what this business is all about. We don't have to lie about splits and all this other BS. We move the number. Anyways, on to NFL. Public bets, 72% on Detroit, -11.5. 77% on Green Bay, -4. 64% on Houston, -5. 63% Atlanta, -2.5. A lot of chalk here. 66% Denver, -10. And 62% on Pitt, -6 on Monday night. Some sharp stuff includes Miami. Denver -8.5. Dallas +6. Jets, Pats under 41.5. Indy +6. Giants +6.5. And Chicago -1.5, and a little bit on KC -9.5. I know that's your play on Sunday, so maybe it was you bet it. I don't know. But those are the sharp plays. And again, that's the number the sharps bet. Those numbers are gone.
Yeah. Dave, real quick, just want to jump in and talk about this Jacksonville game for a second. You mentioned, I think, 72% of the tickets on Green Bay. Line came out at -5.5, 5, 4.5, 4. Explain real quick to the general public, the listeners here. Here we have a situation where 72% of the bets are on Green Bay, yet the line is constantly being moved in the direction of Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, again, those are tickets, so that's who the public's on. That doesn't necessarily mean, that all the money's, there's more money actually on Jacksonville. It's pretty close to 50-50, but there's 56% of the actions on Jacksonville. I'm looking at sharp here. Nothing too sharp, to tell you the truth. Nothing significant. So, I don't know really why it's bouncing back and forth, but that's the highest. That's not only one-sided bet count, but that's also the highest bet count so far this weekend. So people are actually absolutely pounding the Packers, but again, that's bet count, so they can include a $1 wager all the way up to 20-some $1,000. The money is closer to 50-50 with a little bit more on Jacksonville.
Teddy?
Dave Mason, before we let you go, it's obviously political season, and we've seen the odds shifting. And I love your tweets every week when everyone tells you that the election's fixed. Say, fine, bet it then. Talk about where the money's flowing and what you're taking at betonline.ag.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Trump's the favorite now. He's been a favorite for a while. currently minus 170. Harris plus 145. The action's been pouring up in. I mean, big bets on both sides. It's a win-win for us right now on that market. So we needed Trump for a while, then we needed Harris for a while, and right now it's a win-win. So we're getting even action at those odds. Give or take. I think yesterday's minus 160. Popular vote, that's the big liability for us. Trump at plus 175. So Harris is minus 210. We have big liability on Trump there. We also have big liability on him for a lot of the state markets. I mean, I tweeted out yesterday like the most popular state by state bets, and I did bet count, volume, and liability, and like 14 out of the 15 were Trump Republican side. So we're going to need Harris on the state markets without a doubt, and we'll need her on the popular vote. But the overall winner, it's kind of a toss up right now on the House need.
Dave Mason, what do you got to promote?
Well, it's a sports equinox, man. We got everything going on right now. World Series tonight again. Dime lines, earliest openers for NFL and college football. We take sharp action. You can rebet it every 61 seconds. The limits. NHL. I don't know if I mentioned we have reduced juice NHL, so great value there. And of course, the NBA picked off. We hang our lines before every other book as well. If you don't have an account, get over to betonline.ag. Hit up the promotions page. And all sorts of sign-up bonuses and reload bonuses and everything. Contest page, we always have some fun contests. And again, the election, you can't bet it everywhere, but you can bet it on at betonline.ag. Come on over.
Appreciate your time and effort each and every week. Dave Mason
Love
from
it.
betonline.com.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
And that's going to wrap it for the Friday edition. Obviously, Wager Talk last call on the weekends. Be sure to check that out. Lawrence and I will be back with another edition of Wager Talk Today on Monday. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, Monday Night Football, and all the good stuff you're used to on Mondays. Between now and Monday's show, enjoy the games and best of luck. And be sure to stay tuned right now for Lawrence's Daily Presidential Address.
Welcome, everybody, to the Daily Presidential Address. I'm Lawrence Presman, co-founder of Wager Talk Media, and I am going to take apart the Kansas City Las Vegas Raiders game. And just to let you know, Teddy looked at this game on Wager Talk Today on the Friday show. He liked Kansas City here, and you could see his standalone video at wagertalk.tv. I'm going to look at the total in this game, and let's get straight into it. So first off, I'm a moron. I bet against Kansas City last week, and I lost. No matter how you look at this Kansas City team, the numbers are lying. Yes, the numbers lie. Kansas City's offensive struggled in every game they've played this season. Mahomes has more interceptions than touchdowns. They have no wide receivers, although they did just pick up a monster wide receiver, but they had no wide receivers. Everyone is keying on Kelsey. Their running game has been injured. They had to pick up Hunt, and what do? They score and they win. None of it seems to matter. Kansas City just put 28 up on San Fran. They put 26 up on New Orleans. They have scored 22 or more points in every game but one this season. You can stare at the data till you're blue in the face. I am not betting against Kansas City again. So what do we do in this game? Well, we play to Kansas City's strength, and that's their defense. We're going to look to take the under. This Kansas City D is one of the best defenses in all of football. They held San Fran to 18, New Orleans to 13, the Chargers to 10, Atlanta to 17. Only one time this entire year has Kansas City allowed more than 20 points, and that was against Cincinnati. How many points do we actually think the Raiders are going to score? I will tell you. But before I do that, I want to remind you all, I have a 5% play up in the NFL this Sunday. I have at least 5 plays for my clients, and I have a promo code to give out. KICK10, KICK10. You get $10 off of my Sunday NFL package. So, how many points do we think the Raiders are going to score? Well, they just put up 15 on the Chargers. They put up 13 on Pittsburgh. They put up 18 on Denver and 20 on the Browns. All those defenses are good, all of them. But other than maybe the Chargers, I think KC's defense is better. But more importantly, and this is the key to this handicap, if you look at the Chargers, Pittsburgh, Denver, and the Browns, none of them hold the ball. None of them go on 8-minute sustained drives that end in field goals. Kansas City is extending their drives like no one we have seen. They are using all 3 downs to move the ball. They are putting together 8-minute drives, and they're ending these drives in field goals. That is going to keep this Las Vegas offense off the field. I don't think Las Vegas gets more than 10 points in this game. 28-10 is still an under. I don't know how you bet this game over the total. I would take Las Vegas team total under, and I would take the game under. That's it for the Daily Presidential Address. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on Monday.